name is Bob, and I love my two-car garage.
Alright, today I'm going to show you how to make a plastic laminate top. Now, I was weaned on this stuff. One of the first jobs I ever had was working in a cabinet shop, and I made hundreds of produce stands for Ralph's Markets, and they were all made out of plastic laminate, or as it's commonly called, Formica. Because Formica is just a brand name, but there are a lot of other brands of plastic laminate. That's the most common one, probably one of the first ones. Okay, you're going to need some stuff. You're going to need, first of all, something to work on for your top, and MDF makes a great substrate for a plastic laminate top because it's nice and stable. So you need something to work on. You might also need something for an edge, which could be a just another piece of MDF or a piece of hardwood. I'm going to actually use a piece of hardwood for one of my edges. You're going to need obviously some plastic laminate or Formica. I had this one left over for something I did, so I'm going to use that. And then you need some kind of adhesive, some contact cement. Now this stuff right here is what you're going to find in most of the big stores like Home Depot. This is a water-based contact cement. I don't like this stuff at all. It just doesn't stick as well. So when you're getting your contact cement, you really ought to get the stinky stuff, the stuff that has all the warnings on the label, because it really works a lot better. I already have my top cut to size, but I need to make it a little thicker, so I'm going to rip some pieces out of this piece of MDF that I can wrap around the edges. On the front edge of this top, I'm going to put a piece of wood. And I was looking around my shop for some stuff that I might have laying around. I found this piece of cherry. So it's going to be fancy. This front edge right here needs to be good and flat. So put some 120 sandpaper on my random orbital sander. I don't want to be too aggressive. And I'm going to sand that front edge so that it's nice and flat. And that laminate's going to be able to lay down on there real well. And you may want to do this a little bit on the edges too. Be careful though, you don't want to round it off. Now I need to cut my laminate. I'm going to cut it on the top. I'm going to cut it 3/4 of an inch wider than what this is. With all of your pieces cut, you should kind of think through what piece is going to go on first. Usually it's better to put these edges on first. So I'm going to use a little shield here to keep from getting glue all over the place. This is going to get a second coat, but my laminate strip is just going to get one coat. All right, now you can't put this stuff on right away. You got to wait for it to dry a little bit. It should feel tacky, but not slimy. So this particular piece is going to be easy to position. So I'm just going to lay it on there and trust that I get it on right, because remember, it's not going to move once you place it on the other piece. Press it down by hand, and then I'm going to roll it. And then I'm going to pound it down. This is where I'm going to use my little flush cutting bit. So I got it set up in my router here. And I'm using this little trim router. It's perfect for this job. And I'm going to take my sander again Clean off this edge, get it ready for my next piece. I'm going to sand it off on the bottom edge. And I'm going to file it off where these two pieces of laminate come together. Now I want this joint right here between the top and the edge to be nice and tight. So I'm going to come back at this with a sander. Now laying this plastic down can be a little tricky. It has to be laid exactly in the right place because it's not going to move once it's laid down. So the best way to do this really is to take some dowels and lay them down like this. Space them down on your top, and then take the piece of plastic laminate and lay that on top of there like that. And that's going to allow you to line things up well, because in this case I only have 3/4 of an inch, 3/8 on each side. And then one at a time I'm going to start pulling these out. I'm going to start in the middle, and then I'm going to push that down right there like that, and work my way to the sides. And again, I'm going to pat it down, and then I'm going to roll it down. And I'm going to pound it down. Need to get a little bit of a bevel on this joint between this edge and this top. And they actually make a router bit for it. It's this one right here. It's got a bearing on it, and it's got a little bit of a bevel on it. So you have to adjust it really well, really precisely. I'm going to run that right now along the edge. You could probably do the same thing with some 150 sandpaper. Just sand this edge real carefully. And I also like to use a file, a real fine file along this edge to kind of finish it off. Final step with my router. I put a bevel bit on my router here. It's got a bearing on the top and then a 45-degree angle. I'm going to run that along this edge right here that has the cherry on it. Finally, I want this edge to be just a little bit smoother, so I'm going to take some 150 sandpaper and just kind of touch up. Of course, I want this wood Formica edge here to look nice and clean, so I'm going to spend some time sanding this off. And that, my friends, is how you make a plastic laminate top with a pretty wood edge. Remember, in all labor there is profit, but mere talk leads only to poverty. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I love those comments. Thanks for watching.